Welcome back, everybody. Here we are in part 2 of my top 50 games of all time. This time we're covering games 40 to 31, as it states in the title. Nothing to explain. If you don't know the rules, you can check the first video. I'm ready to get right into it. Animal Crossing: New Horizons. It actually started out as New Leaf on my top 50, but I ended up making some changes to the list. This was one of the games that got replaced for its more modern counterpart. New Leaf was a great game for me in university. I was much more involved playing the game back then, and one benefit that the 3DS has over the Switch is that there was free online. Why Nintendo doesn't do that anymore? Well, money, obviously. They don't need to have it for free when people pay for the paid experience, but this isn't a complaint video. The only point is, I haven't had as much multiplayer interactivity in New Horizons as I would like, yet the little bit that I did have is why New Horizons is on this list. I played New Leaf again, and it was okay. I like that it starts you with a few more villagers, but New Horizons is just kind of the place to be. And if I were to replay an Animal Crossing game, or if I did pick up Animal Crossing again and I wanted to play it again, I would continue from New Horizons. I just feel like that's where, my sister and my friends and some other people have popped in. That's where I want to continue to grow my town, keep interacting with the villagers. New Horizons has great visuals. Obviously, with all these games, there's so many things to collect. There's so many ways that you can customize your character. Far more in New Horizons, I believe. And of course, you can spend so much time doing it. Now, that is why I eventually stopped playing New Horizons. There's just so much time involved to grow your town, grow your home, and all that stuff. But it's a fun game. It's a relaxing game. It's a very humble game, and that's why it's at number 40. Plants vs. Zombies is simply one of the most fun yet simple strategy games of all time. Who hasn't heard of Plants vs. Zombies? At the time that this game was popular, I want to say maybe around 2010, probably earlier than that though. It feels like it really has been around for quite some time. Maybe new gamers don't even know of it. This really was one of the best games combining tower defense, puzzle, strategy, and a whole bunch of little casual genres like that. The plants function as your towers. As you can see, the zombies are the wave that continues to attack you. And you're going to be using a variety of plants, whether they're for gathering resources, or for attacking, or for defending. And you combine those in various ways, and that's how you set up to protect the home. I love this game. I love the variety involved. I love that it doesn't take itself too seriously and that the levels don't have to last too long. The progression feels very nice, and then when you beat the game, you have some other modes that you can do, some other puzzles and challenges. I just think any way you look at this game, it's a very complete game. What it does may be simple at a glance, but it does it so well. So yeah, Plants vs. Zombies, a game that I can still go back to anytime really, have a great time with it, and I still have things in this game that I need to unlock, so maybe I'll do just that. Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. I've talked about this game before. I loved it when I was a teenager. I've really been enjoying replaying it for footage for this video. I'm looking forward to playing the Switch version of Mario Golf at some point, but until then, this is still a phenomenal game. There isn't too much about Mario Golf that I still have to talk about. I've mentioned it in previous videos now. It's the game that I grew up with, the golf game that I grew up with. I had a best friend back then, and we played this game all the time in between other GameCube titles. We played Tales of Symphonia together, we played 007 Nightfire together, and we wanted a little break from that. It was Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. We would do one-on-one, we would do 2v2. I love it. I love the way the game looks, although it could have a little bit more Mario flair. The music is great, the cast of characters is fine, especially for the time. I think it's a big enough cast. Like I said, I am looking forward to what the Switch holds, but in the meantime, coming back to this game and just playing it again, unlocking levels and different things like that, it's been a blast. Yu-Gi-Oh! With one of the longest titles ever. This is Worldwide Edition, Stairway to the Destined Duel. And even though it's on my list, I'm not gonna be memorizing that title. I don't know if I've ever had it memorized. I've got a collection of Yu-Gi-Oh! Games to choose from. I ended up going with this one since it's my favorite of its generation. I tried playing Yu-Gi-Oh games after this one, for example the ones on the DS. I played through one of those and it was okay, but once you start introducing other cards and more complex mechanics and too many overpowered things, I think the spirit of the game just gets lost. So for me, what I grew up with, and this was one of the more structured ways of playing Yu-Gi-Oh, this game is perfect. It is arguably the best card game that I've ever played. Like I said, for Yu-Gi-Oh games, this is certainly the best version that I've played. Although you guys can recommend some others, because I am limited to the GBA. Maybe there's some on console that I haven't touched before. And if you know Yu-Gi-Oh, then you know what I'm talking about, right? I like your Dark Magician stuff. I like your fusion and your polymorphs and that kind of things. But once you start getting into XYZ, no thank you. So a great game where you can also pad your deck early on. You can enter a bunch of passcodes for cards and you can have them from the very beginning. And yeah, just have fun with this. There's 8,000 life points. There's the standard phases, side deck, and all that stuff. It's great. Donkey Kong 64. I am always going to have a soft spot for this game. My brother and I love it. I think some other family members may have watched us play a little bit, but it's iconic, and a lot of people make fun of it or just kind of go along with the memes with the DK rap and everything, but it is a severely underrated game, one of the best adventures on the N64, and in my opinion, highly worth playing. I'm going to give this game credit for doing something very unique. I think that this game was the catalyst for me loving mushroom levels in video games. As weird as that sounds, there's a certain level in this game called Fungi Forest, or you can call it a world if you want. And I just remember being in there, all the giant mushrooms. I thought it was so fantastic and just captivating. It seemed so surreal. It was clearly something that could only exist in fiction, and I loved it. Mario obviously has its toadstools and whatnot, but not quite the same as this. You don't get lost in a forest of giant mushrooms. So that's just one highlight of this game that I remember as a kid. Of course, playing the game with my brother, taking turns. We each beat the game. We loved the different Kongs that are involved and their different abilities. We can remember certain things that they do, certain things that they say, and the way that they say them. So certainly a game with a lot of sentimental value, but again, like I said, it's a good game. It is absolutely worth playing. If you want to go back to the N64, you want to play some of these old adventure games, please give Donkey Kong 64 a shot. Warcraft 2. Now here I am holding the copy for Beyond the Dark Portal. This is basically the sequel to the first part of Warcraft 2, which is called Tides of Darkness. In the video, I happen to be playing a version purchased on GOG, which runs flawlessly on Windows 10, and that is the Battle.net edition, BattleNet edition. For starters, Warcraft 2 has one of the best soundtracks ever made for a video game. I listen to it in the car, I can listen to it working out, I can listen to it while working, it doesn't matter, it's just phenomenal music. The visuals in this game, I think they've aged terrifically. Even though you can see that they're dated in some ways, the graphics themselves, they're a little bit pixelated. The detail that went into those pixels is great. And in the original version of Warcraft 2, there was a really fun map editor, and I enjoyed playing with that a ton. But in this GOG version, either I'm blind or it's just non-existent. You cannot make your own custom scenarios. That's unfortunate if that is true. Otherwise, you guys can point it out to me. I'll have to take more than just a cursory look at this game. But yeah, Warcraft 2, it's timeless. Again, for my brother and I'll be mentioning him a lot in this video. This was where most of our Warcraft memories began, and we eventually continue them into World of Warcraft. So I love this game, big part of my childhood, and you guys can still play it. Hasn't aged that badly. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. I do not have a physical copy of a multiplayer game, but here it is. Siege is, without a doubt, one of the most refined shooters I've ever played. It's got an amazing variety of gadgets. I love the destructible terrain. Actually, for a long time, growing up playing shooters, I wished that we could have more environments and more things in the background, in the foreground, whatever. More things we could interact with and destroy, and Siege has that. To some limited capacity, maybe Battlefield does it better. Haven't played that game, but Siege is a very satisfying experience regardless. There's so many different classes that you can play as, and that's where you get the different gadgets. But even within those classes, you can customize their weapons, their grenades, whatever it is available. They are not all made equally, so some of them may get frag grenades, stun grenades, whatever. And others may get things like on the defensive side, you'll see here, I can have these shields or I can have extra cameras. There's so much to mess around with. It's a great multiplayer game. Unfortunately, with this one, the community sometimes leaves something to be desired, but I've had a great time playing it in the years that I've owned it. And yeah, if you guys are looking for a first-person multiplayer shooter, you want to try something different, the learning curve isn't that high with this game. Slime Rancher 2, a game that I own on Steam. The sequel just came out. I'm looking forward to playing that at some point, but this is all about number one, the game that I've recommended to so many people when they want a relaxing, more laid-back, comfortable experience. This is another game that I've talked about it before in my underrated games video, or maybe what makes a game good. I just like to drop this game in wherever I can because I've had such a good time with it. Now, compared to other games on this list, maybe I haven't played it that long. I only put around 25 hours into it, but those were 25 hours very well spent. I love the world. It's not too big, it's not too small. The way that you progress through it and unlock different areas. The number of slimes and actually the number of upgrades that you can do in your little farm here, which is where you breed your slimes, you crossbreed them, you protect them from the environment, all kinds of things. It's a great game with plenty of exploration as well. So I've actually recommended this before for people who do like to explore or adventure a little bit. It's not just a breeding simulator. You can actually traverse the map. You can unlock different things to make your time exploring more dynamic. You can play the game quickly, you can play the game slowly, there's different modes available to you. So really, I think no matter what kind of gamer you are, if you like the look of this game, then I think you'll have a good time playing the game. Perfect Dark for the Nintendo 64. Now for my family, this was our GoldenEye. GoldenEye, I got to play it at friends' houses and also at my uncle's house. Perfect Dark was the one that we owned. We did not own GoldenEye, and we loved it. We never complained once about not having GoldenEye, because to us, this was that and more. And of course, since both games are made by Rare, you have a lot of crossover content. For example, there's one map across both games. It's called Facility in one or Felicity in the other, and I think it's most people's favorite map for multiplayer. The campaign is great, the story is fine, there's so many memorable cutscenes in this game, and certainly a lot of memorable dialogue as well. A lot of the quotes that the characters say are still inside jokes between my brother and I today. And another memory I have is just, this was one of the games where it was a lot of fun to use the different colored Nintendo 64 controllers that we owned, this and the Pokemon Stadium games. I would, of course, use the green controller, my favorite. Usually we would hand off the red to my dad, the gray could be for my brother, and we had a blue one, my sister. And even though we had 4 and that was plenty, I was always envious of people who had the yellow controller or some others. So yeah, Nintendo 64, Perfect Dark, such a great time. And you know what, replaying this game, it's pretty solid today too. The controls take a little bit of getting used to, sure, but I was able to get the hang of it, no problem. And there's auto aim as well. So if you want to replay this game, if you want to try something from the past, it's a great one to give a shot. Now, I will get to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because that is the one that's on my list, but let me start off first with Mario Kart DS, and this was actually on my top 50 until I replayed it. Mario Kart DS, I have so many great memories with it. Friends and I were playing in class, even though our teacher was aware of what we were doing. As long as we didn't make too much noise, we were allowed to play. That was a pretty useful class, obviously. And I also like that in the DS version, you can actually unlock the karts as you play, and there's snaking, but replaying it, snaking just isn't really for me anymore. I couldn't even perform it anymore. The thing about Deluxe is it has everything already unlocked. Now, I think in the original Mario Kart 8, it's still up to you to unlock all the racers. I wish that the Deluxe version still had that. It doesn't, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. So it is nice when my friends and I get together, those same friends who were playing with me back in school, we can pick any racer we want. And there's still customization available with your kart. And the more that I play the game and I get gold medals or whatever it is, the gold trophies as I beat these levels, the more that I do that, I can unlock more parts for the kart, and those do make noticeable differences. The maps themselves, they're amazing. You guys know them. If you've played Mario Kart before, then you've played some of these maps before. And of course, the DLC is always launching more of them. The music has been remastered and it sounds amazing. Gotta love the music here. You heard a little bit of that in the introduction. So yeah, Mario Kart 8. I had some complaints when I first played it, but now it's okay. It easily fits on my top 50. And I think that this is a game that my friends and I will be playing for the distant future. So thank you everybody for watching. As always, I hope that you enjoyed this part of the top 50. It's always fun for me to talk about games and tell the stories that I have from childhood, adulthood, whenever really. I just like sharing those experiences about the games that I've played, the games that I love, and hopefully you'll do the same in the comments. There's no Leo here for farewell, although maybe I'll actually have his footage on screen if it's better to look at than me. And yeah, that's it really. Thank you. Stay tuned for the next one. I'll see you there.